Hello, I'm Hugo, and today I will walk through the question in the May 2009 IB Math Paper 1, and it's question 4. So in the question we are giving the background, and it says the following diagram shows the graphs of the displacement, velocity, and acceleration of a moving object as functions of time t. And we can see we have one graph, graph A, graph B, and finally graph C. And we can see that graph A is a cubic function, graph B is a linear function, and graph C is a quadratic function. So it says complete the following table by noting which graph A, B, or C corresponds to each function. So it asks for displacement and acceleration. So since graph A is the cubic equation where x has the highest exponent, then it is the original function. So therefore the first derivative would be graph C, which is the velocity, and the second derivative would be graph B, which is acceleration. So thus the displacement function is graph A and the acceleration function is graph B. We can also note that graph C is the first derivative when graph A is negative, graph C is under the x-intercept, the x-axis, and as graph A is positive, graph C is above the x-axis. So finally, the final part B of the question asks, write down the value of t when the velocity is greatest. So since we have already confirmed that graph C, which is the first derivative of graph A, is the velocity graph, then all we need to find is the maximum to see where the velocity is the greatest. And in this graph, we can see that when t equals to 3, right here, it is the maximum since it is a negative quadratic, which is concave down. So therefore, t is equal to 3 when the velocity is greatest. Thank you for listening.